This question is about what happens when you start questioning your ego's messages. The fear of not being okay often hides under a strong ego that tells us we are social, self-confident, we are the important center of different groups of people, and so on. But when you start to become authentic and see these patterns of the ego, it seems like the ego starts to fade. For me, it was as if I suddenly became much more insecure and that I came in direct contact with my root fear of not being okay. So I experienced it as if this fear was getting a lot worse, but at the same time, I assumed that I was no longer using my ego as a protection for the fear to the same extent. I also noticed that it became easier to work on the fear when I felt so strongly. And when I look back at it now, I found it helpful being so super scared as I was for quite a while, so I could get that fear work going. I'm not done yet, but it's a lot better. I wanted to share it in case it could be a common thing to experience, and I would like to hear your comment on this. Is this the way it works, or if I just made it up to get an explanation?
No, that is the way it works, Titi. You have to get to the point where you're willing to, when you work on the fear, you have to experience the fear. You don't work on the fear in an intellectual vacuum. You need to experience the fear. As you experience it, you need to say, I don't want to be that way. You need to tell it to step aside. But you need to be, you're there. There's the fear. You're afraid. All right, you're this people and you're successful and you're social and you do these jobs and so on. But there's this nagging fear running in there. To getting to the point where you actually could feel that fear. Ooh, I feel the fear. I am afraid. I'm afraid of messing up. I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing. I'm afraid of not doing well. I'm afraid of people not liking me. I'm afraid of people criticizing me. And when you feel that, then is when you can do something about it. Then's when you can say, go away, reduce. I don't want to feel that way. I do feel that way, but I'm going to go on like I don't. I'm going to push through this. And that fear will just have to slide over and get out of the way because I'm going to go do this anyway, even though I'm frightened. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to make my speech. I'm going to do what I do. I'm frightened about it, but I'm going to do it anyway because I don't want to be pushed around by this fear. When you do that, suddenly you come out the other side and you're stronger, your fear's weaker. You have just gotten rid of some of your fear because you stood up to it. If you don't stand up to your fear, it's really hard to get rid of it. Otherwise, you're just playing a mental game. You and your fear are just playing this mental game.
Is
You
that where
know,
the ego comes in? The ego is a
yeah,
protection that she mentioned.
yeah. The ego is to convince you, fear. You don't have any fear. It's just fine. No problem here. It tries to whitewash the fear, but the fear is still there. And now you feel like, well, no, I don't think I want that job because I'd have to stand up in front of too many people too often. So I think I won't take that job. You see, now the fear has made that choice for you. Your free will is being run by a fear. Okay, so that's the ego comes along and doesn't say, oh, I'm fearful. I don't want to do that. The ego says something like, well, yeah, that job's going to be a lot of trouble. There's going to be this and that. And it creates its own reasons why. That's what the ego does. It makes it like it doesn't have anything to do with the fear. I don't want that job because it's just has too many hassles. You come up with a different reason. Your ego keeps you from having to deal with the fear, but it's the fear that actually is keeping you from taking that job. You really love that job, but the fear keeps you from it. You make up some other reasons. Your ego makes up other reasons. Your ego will tell you anything it thinks you want to hear. But when you actually get to the point where there's my fear, I feel it. I think about that I'm going to go stand up in front of people and do these things. I'm going to be in charge, and how, whether it works or not, is going to be on me. If it doesn't work, that's going to show that I didn't do it right. But I'm afraid of that, but I'm going to go do it anyway. It's that resolution and courage to go do it anyway is what gets rid of your fear. And you keep doing that, then your fear will basically shrink, put its tail between its legs and run away. It won't, you get rid of it like that. But that's what I mean by engaging your fear. That's actually engaging your fear, because you can kind of sit back and intellectually play with your fear. Oh yeah, I feel this fear in me. I am a little afraid about getting up and doing things and taking positions and exerting a strong force in something, because what if I'm wrong? And yet you have that fear of being wrong or not being able to do it very well. And if you just kind of understand that, and you might say in your mind, and that you want to not be that way, but it's not very effective. Nothing much happens. Things really happen when you and your fear get side by side, and you can feel it. You can feel the fear. I'm terrified to go do this. And you feel it and you do it anyway. That's how you overcome the fear. So keeping the fear at arm's length usually doesn't help get rid of the fear. But that's what she was talking about. She let the fear come into her awareness to where she felt that fear. It was a real fear that she felt, but then you deal with it in a positive way, and now the fear's weaker, because the fear was there saying, don't do that, don't do that, you can't do that, it's going to be a mistake, it's going to be a disaster, and you do it anyway.
When she felt the strongest, the fear the strongest, she dealt with it.
She dealt with it.
Yeah.
But as long as the fear was just some kind of an intellectual thing that was somewhere hiding in her and she had to deal with and get rid of it, well, that could go on for years and years and years. She's not really experiencing the fear. Yeah. But if you experience it, when you experience it, then's when you can get rid of it. If you're not experiencing it, it's a much slower process.
Thank you, Tom.
I and MBT Events hope you liked this video. We will continue to post videos for free on my YouTube channel, but please understand, these videos are expensive to produce. They represent many thousands of hours of production and editing, as well as all the necessary audiovisual equipment, computers, and software. If you find something of significant value in our videos, please consider supporting their production through our Patreon account or through a one-time donation. It would be very much appreciated. The links are in the description below. Thank you.